to stream in the meanwhile, I would like to try and sort of invite everyone to sort of scan the QR code on screen to join our WhatsApp chat group. This is our, as I shared a little earlier on, this is our third WhatsApp chat group. And if you are already in our WhatsApp chat group, no need to join because it can be repeated announcements. Yes, it's also due to group limit. Thank you, Jimmy. Why we're not using Telegram? It's also because the majority of folks have been on WhatsApp, and we haven't really sort of moved to Telegram yet. Although that's a good suggestion, bro? Alan, what do you think? Maybe we should think about moving to Telegram once. But I don't know whether the traction there is good or not. I don't check my Telegram every day. It's almost every other day now. So
maybe an option. I don't know, maybe an option for those who prefer Telegram.
Yeah, true. That's
because
it can be, yeah.
They're all because I personally don't really check Telegram. Give me the notification, so.
Yeah, that's right. And I tend to use my Telegram now as more for news or than actual community building. And what we're trying to do with Brands for Good is really community building, right? And trying to strengthen each other's businesses as we grow along. So until maybe more conversations are on, or maybe what's the other one? There's a new one, right? Signal. Have you guys been using it? No.
Glenn, I already scanned just now.
Oh, come. Join. But if you guys are already in our chat,
actually no need to scan, right? But I already scanned. You can remove me if you would like.
Okay. Thank you, Sunny, and appreciate. I don't know, because you like to receive the same things from me over and over again. So that's
yeah. But Araiba also the same one. So Araiba also this one also has so everywhere.
Everywhere, right? Yeah. So too many chats, then also get
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you should just remove.
Okay, so a few housekeeping rules. Sort of, I thought I wanted to welcome everyone back to our info sessions. This is our 18th info session since COVID started, right? And then we sort of pivoted to having, instead of physical events, having it online. Just to share with you a little bit about our culture at Brands for Good, and for those of you who are sort of joining us for the first time, we are an on camera event, which means that all you are encouraged to sort of turn on your camera so that we can all sort of see you and know who you are. We try to encourage everyone to, as a habit, rename yourself. So if you can right-click your screen, instead of using your short names, put down your name, then followed dash by your company name. So to sort of give people an idea of who you are and what you do. And so, and as we build communities, and we are hoping that Brands for Good continue to strengthen and build business communities, we also have an open networking at the end of this session after Jackie's sharing, and we want to encourage everyone to stay behind and join our breakout rooms. In the breakout rooms, depending on how many of us left behind and still want to meet people and sort of network, we will try and slot maybe 15 or 20 people per room. Where everyone will sort of get a chance to sort of introduce yourself and share what you do, and then basically make contacts. For those of you who are a little bit more savvier, as I noticed, there are QR codes on our screens, as you can see on my top left. It's a QR code. You can scan the QR code and sort of download my contact card on my screen. You can do the same thing for many others. As you can see, I think there's a few. Conrad and Mandy are from Sansan. They are also our sponsors for Brands for Good. So I want to sort of say hi and quite a quick shout out to the two of them. They are the ones who actually helped sort of facilitate this ability to download our contact cards as well. So I do encourage you to find out a little bit more about Sansan's solution. If not, you can always probably do it on your own, but not as effective, right? So Sansan's one of the better solution providers. Okay, so besides OpenCam, I hope that you, as you can see, Zoom doesn't allow us to sort of clap our hands and make noise. And I hope that during the presentations by both Alan and Jackie later, you can sort of encourage them by using those buttons at the bottom of your screen, to the reaction buttons, to put a thumbs up or a clap or a high five, to show appreciation to the speakers and then encourage them in what they're sharing, and that would sort of compliment them for their effort. I'm very excited to sort of hear Jackie today. He's really put in quite a bit of effort in today's campaign, in today's sharing. Okay, we've got 50 participants. See, there you go. We had a 50%, almost more than 50% attrition rate. So 100 RSVPs, 50% attrition. Hopefully the numbers come in later. So I think we can begin now. Ellen, so I'd like to take this chance to sort of introduce Ellen and Esther. Esther, are you still there? See, your camera's off. Okay, your voice is also off. Okay, I would like
I'm here.
Hey Esther, okay, and then I would like to take this chance to sort of introduce Esther and Alan, who are co-chairs for Brands for Good 2021-22. Alan, of course, many of you, some of you may have already known. He was previously he was the founding chairman for IPOS Society, and in that representation has been pushing Brands for Good over the last 3 years. This is our 4th year running the campaign for Brands for Good. Esther is with the president for the International IP Commercialization Council, Singapore, right? So they focus on helping businesses commercialize their IPs and all that. So without further ado, over to you, Alan.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly. Yeah. Well, welcome to our new series in 2021, our webinar series. Let me take the opportunity here to introduce Brands for Good again. I think for those of you who have been with us, I think you know us quite well now. But for those who join us new, so let me introduce Brands for Good very briefly. Right, Brands for Good started in 2017, an alliance of these 4 organizations with a common vision, right? So, and to date, we have sort of run Brands for Good's award for 3 years already, 2018, 19, 20. All right, so now we are moving into 2021. So today, Brands for Good, as a non-profit organization registered in Singapore, all right, we hope to continue this community building efforts. There will be over 300 SMEs involved in positive impact enterprises across Singapore and Southeast Asia. And I'd like to take the opportunity now to also thank many of our sponsors, right? Particularly Maybank, who has been with us from the start, and also Sansan, 01, Fintech Academy, Harris Elias Partnership, and Albert Consulting. So and of course, CEO Asia is a company that Glenn is running, and he has very kindly been our secretariat. Of course, every even though it's non-profit, you still need people to make things happen, right? So Glenn is managing the team, right, under CEO Asia in organizing all these activities. And in 2019, right, we signed a partnership with ASEAN CSR Network to form a business alliance called ASEAN Responsible and Inclusive Business Alliance. And in this alliance, we are hoping to also get more ASEAN SMEs on board with us. Okay. So this is the sort of a 160 words introduction of what Ariba is about. Okay, so I think maybe just the red line, right? So there's alignment that we want to sort of promote the message that the world of business can be a world where business do well by doing good. Today, the team has grown to this size, all right? So although many of our very hardworking colleagues, they are often very shy. You don't see them, but they are the guys who behind the scene making things happen. So I'd like to sort of introduce you the team with this article that Business Times sort of capture for us. So what's the big idea with Brands for Good? All right. Now, Brands for Good, I think primarily we came from an IP background, right? Both IPOS Society and the International IP Commercialization Council. So we hope leveraging on our IP ecosystem, we can help all the social enterprises or businesses who understands the triple bottom line objective, or some call it 4 now, right? Plus purpose, to help them grow, to help them do well, because we believe that such companies, if they do well, the benefits they create is not only just for themselves, but also for society and the environment, as a greater good, right? So of course, when we started in 2017, this message wasn't so easy to catch on. But I think recently, you see on a newspaper almost on a daily basis now, right, on how important this ESG has become. All right, and World Bank has a framework called the ESG framework. United Nations has the 17 SGD goal, right, the Sustainability Development Goals. Right, so I think more and more organizations are, especially all this international organization, is stepping up, to provide a framework on how to do this. And I think more importantly is that the capital markets, right, the stock markets are all catching on, right, and you can see how businesses that has effectively incorporated the ESG objective into their business model, right, has is able to create create a greater value for themselves as well. So, right, this is what Prof. Su once said to us, right? That if we can do this well, we can really change the world. So our mission really is threefold, right? We want to help good brands differentiate effectively and create transformative value by the intangible assets. So that's the reason why we kick off this webinar series with a important with an important focus on branding, all right, how to build a powerful brand strategy. The second part is to make waves with ASEAN Brands for Good stories, so that your story can inspire the world. So on this, in fact, the latest venture we have started, for those of you who have been to our studio, another partnership we did, right? So but we hope to create these 4 members of our community, a studio where we can do more social media engagement, whether it's live streaming, whether it's video making, whether video production. So we hope to get onto this bandwagon, and Brands for Good can be a platform to echo your sentiment, echo your brand story. And of course, thirdly, we continue to build our community, right, into one where within the community we can help each other create opportunity for one another. So Brands for Good, we hope to create this 4C proposition, all right: competency, community, capital, and champions. All right. So in the area of competency, I think naturally, of course, I think we can help you create your intangible assets. All right, either by branding, patents, or any other form. Of course, the not so legal but still very important intangible assets are things like your data, your contracts, your connections, right? So so in the business world, in the legal world, they look at IP quite differently. And then, of course, here our community, we are continuing to connect with more communities, and of course, many of these are Singapore-centric. And of course, in the wake of COVID, it's a bit more difficult to build relationship outside Singapore now. But we'll continue to do so, all right? And we want to build a stronghold within within ASEAN. All right, and in the area of capital, we're also working with many funders, so that where we have interesting projects within the Brands for Good family, all right, we can mobilize resources to support it. All right, and here we are, right? Of course, identifying the champions, identifying the the rainmakers, all right, and then we can support these champions together. So these are some of the projects that we have been doing in the past. And this is the most recent on 1st April, right? The launch of Brands for Good, and this one we engaged the Cambodian Chamber of Commerce. All right. So how can you join us, right? So there are basically 5 ways, right? Through nominations, so that we can look at your business and sort of recognize you with our Brands for Good award if your business is deserving. Join us as a sponsor. Consider co-investing with us. Be our partner, and of course, community leadership. Right. So we are trying to build our social media. We have created our Brands for Good YouTube channel. Right, and then we hope that this channel can also be a platform for you to launch your story. Okay, yeah. So that's what Brands for Good is about. We have a short video, and right, we talk about so much about social media and all that. So we also experimented recently one of our own. So maybe Firas, can you play the video? Thank you.
What is your voice? If you don't have a voice to attract ethical customers, then your business is obsolete. Here's a special message for every busy SME entrepreneur who needs to build brand power into their business to attract new wealth amongst the growing ethical customers and markets, but can't seem to find the time. Hi, my name is Alan Ng. I am the co-chair for Brands for Good, and if you want to find help that you need to create new wealth amongst the growing ethical customers and markets, then pay very close attention. And if you are an SME business owner who wants to have a bigger impact on your business and profits, then this is exactly what you are looking for. I would like to introduce you to Brands for Good Nominations 2021. Brands for Good Nomination 2021 is a peer-to-peer business model evaluation with the industry's distinguished experts and academics, who evaluates whether your business deserves to be rebranded with a new ethical voice. This new ethical voice would then be crafted by our brand expert. We work with journalists and brand consultants so that they storytell your business for you, and how you do good as a business can be shared on the national newspaper such as the Business Times, online and in print. Brands for Good will do 5 important things for you. 1. To find your new ethical voice. 2. To get you recognized for the good that you have been doing, even if it is in your own small way. 3. To get yourself published on the Business Times, online and in print with our dedicated expert copywriters. 4. Stop figuring out what storytelling you need to tell about your business. In fact, people trust third parties to tell your story even more than you can do on your own. And 5. Enjoy more support from our community of ethical business owners to rebrand your business into one that you deserve to have, and much more from our community. For the past 3 years, we have rebranded over 90 businesses to have their own unique new voice, creating legions of newfound customers and wealth. And the best and biggest feedback I get from these entrepreneurs coming up to me saying thank you for giving me a new voice. So, appeal to your ethical customers now and be the deserved leader in your industry with your own new voice. My name is Alan, and I will help you with your new voice. So, who is Brands for Good nominations for? Well, it's for what we call the 1% crazy. It's for those who feel that their business is a calling and that they want to change the world. It's for those who know that they want to change the world today to impact their customers' lives and to provide for their loved ones. It's for those who are excited to better the world tomorrow for their actions, no matter how small it may be today. Now, if that sounds like you, then welcome to the 1% crazy. So if you are ready to take massive action and you want to have your new ethical voice to change the world, then make sure that you nominate your company for Brands for Good 2021 right now.
Okay, thank you guys. Now over to Helmut, right?
Yes. So a word from our sponsors. Helmut.
Hi. Oh, yes, give me a minute. Okay. That's a good one, Alan. First time seeing that.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Okay, that's the Alan I know. Okay, good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Hamad from Maybank SME Banking. Thank you for joining us today. It's good to be back again, as one of the Brands for Goods partners. Now, this is like the fourth year, right? Yeah. So this BFG movement resonates very much with our missions to humanize financial services. For those of you who are not familiar with Maybank, we're actually the fourth largest bank in Southeast Asia, and we are the only bank that has presence in all 10 ASEAN countries. So, like all the three local banks, we provide a full suite of services ranging from, property to working capital financing, or even your FX, investment, or even your insurance, So if you happen to be, our Maybank customer, good news, you get to enjoy a 50% off the nomination fee. If you're not our customer yet, don't worry, just reach out to us before you put up your applications. Yeah. So once again, thanks for being part of this amazing movement. I'm sure you'll enjoy the journey. Yeah. So I will see you soon. Okay, I'll pass it back to Glenn then.
Well, Helmut, that was probably the shortest Maybank presentation I've had so far.
Yeah, because the key thing is you guys, right? The Brands for Goods. Yeah.
Appreciate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because I'll meet up with them again anyway. So
yeah. Okay, cool. So thank you very much, Helmut, and thank you, Alan, for sharing a little bit about Brands for Good and our sponsors, Maybank. I guess the most important thing this year, what we're trying to do is to really get out the message about Brands for Good, right? And beyond just simply the the webinars that we are conducting, there are many things that we're sort of putting together for the Brands for Good. One of the few things that I think we're changing this year, and which you probably won't be, it won't be so obvious, is the fact that we're changing the name, the year of the awards to 2021/22, right? So the reason why we're doing that is because we want the win to be future, not past. So we're not announcing that you're going to be a winner for 2021, and then that's at the end of the year. The campaign is done. The campaign ends at the end of the year, yes, but we want the award to be carried through to 2022. So this year, all recipients will receive the trophy and the cert to represent Brands for Good 2021/22. Next year onwards, it will be Brands for Good 2023. Means by the time you win, your trophy year will showcase the following year as well. So it gives you that runway to be able to lift up your brand and take this chance to sort of shout about your business. So this is the only year that you have 2 years on the trophy, 2021 and 2022. So that's quite nice, and that's going to be quite cool for everyone. Other things that we're doing sort of to help strengthen all our brand nominees, not only just the winners, is also creating a sort of what we call a playbook concept. Now, as we build up all these webinars, which is all been kindly sponsored by Maybank and Sansan and by FTA and all our different sponsors, we are also engaging our speakers and partners and letting them all know that they need to help us create a small playbook, right? So today, Jackie has a B2B branding playbook, right, that he's going to sort of share with us as part of this program. At the end of the event, usually last year we gave it away freely to everybody who attended our webinars and those who want to download it. And this year we will still do the same. For those of you who attended today's webinar and you want to download the PowerPoint after this, you can. There will be a QR code at the end of the webinar today that you will scan a QR code. You will be prompted to, of course, fill in your details because we want to make sure that you stay throughout the whole period and not just come in a little bit and then later on get the playbook, right? So one, if you're just attending, you get the playbook, right? You get it at the end of this webinar. Two, if you are a nominee, you will get all the playbooks from all our webinars. It means from all 10 of them, we'll be organizing up ahead. So we've got our branding, we've got our market entry, we've got IP, IP playbooks. So what you can do with your branding, what you can do with your IP, what you can do with your what. So as a value to the nominees, we will consolidate all these playbooks, and just by joining Brands for Good, this will be part of your arsenal. This is a part of your toolkit that you allow you to help you build your brands. And these are insights gleaned from experts and putting it together, who took the time and pain to put it together to help build this community. And then we do it for our nominees. And of course, those who are also attending our webinars with us. So those are the slight subtle changes that we're doing. Essentially, it's a way for us to sort of strengthen the business community here. And we also want to, of course, it's for us to hold you guys to come and attend and join our events as much as possible as well, right? Okay, so Esther, I know we didn't get a chance for you to sort of share because today Alan sort of stole the limelight. Would you like to say a few words? She's speaking, but I don't think she's listening to us. Okay, so I guess not. Maybe she's on the line. I'll move on. So without further ado, let me quickly introduce Jackie. Jackie is a really old and dear friend, someone who I've known for more than 10 years already. I knew Jackie in his old days when he was with Strategic Com, and this was way when he was running successfully a B2B branding agency, all right? And his focus at that point was really on helping businesses doing up their branding. And then he always shares with me previously that a lot of B2B companies don't want to do branding because they feel that there's no need to do branding. And he argues that it's not true, right? And that in fact, it's more important. I won't take that away from him and let him share that why. But Jackie's journey is amazing on his own. Strategic Com was sold then to PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. And then after that, subsequently, Jackie decided that corporate life wasn't for him. And then he went back out again. And then he formed Unbroken Branding. So there you go. And in that, throughout this illustrious career of brand building, he's written 8 books. Bro, I've lost count. 8 books on branding, some of which 7 books. Okay, 7 books on branding, and he'll probably share some of his insights later on today. So over to you, Jackie.
Okay, thank you very much, Glenn. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jackie. I am the principal consultant of Unbroken Branding. Thank you for spending your Thursday afternoon here with us. And also thank you to my friends at Brands for Good for inviting me to speak to all of you today on B2B branding. Okay, let me just get into the presentation today and share with you my slides. Glenn mentioned to you, if you stay throughout the presentation, you will get a playbook at the end of this presentation. What he forgot to tell you also is you might get a chance to win the player as well. No, just kidding. Okay, let me just put this up. Okay, today's session is to talk to you about, to share with you how to position your brand to B2B customers and investors. As Glenn mentioned to you earlier, I spent 9 years in Strategicom as Strategicom's principal consultant. I was Strategicom was basically positioned as the B2B branding specialist. Back in those days, if we get consumer brands coming to us, we actually refer them to our competitors because we try not to touch consumer brands. We do have some consumer clients, but we decided not to take on consumer brands, or for those that we take on, right, we got their agreement that we don't need to acknowledge them as clients because that kind of ruins the perception that Strategicom is a B2B branding specialist. So today I'm going to share with you how to position your brand to B2B customers and investors. Now, before we go into the nuts and bolts of positioning your brand to B2B customers and investors, investors are they kind of fall into the B2B category as well. I know there are many different types of investors, corporate investors, VCs, PEs, angel investors, but they are all business related. So I classify them as B2B as well. Some branding basics. Now, different people have different ideas of what a brand is. If you ask 100 people, you probably get 105 different answers as to what a brand is. None of these answers are wrong, but if you are going to build a strong brand within your organization, you need to get at least the key people in your organization to agree on one common definition of what a brand is. I would like to propose to you that a brand doesn't exist in the real world. A brand exists only in the minds of your customers as an idea that you own. Now, if you look at examples of the brands that I've put up on the screen here, some are B2B, some are B2C. A couple of them are actually hybrid brands. They have a B2B component. They also have a B2C component. Dell, for example, is both a B2B as well as a B2C brand, right? Likewise with companies like eBay, for example. Okay, now if you look at these brands here, they are strong. They are all strong brands, not because they are big. They are all strong brands because they each own an idea in the minds of their customers. Google equals search engine. Caterpillar equals construction equipment. Dell equals computers direct. Viagra equals performance. Now, all my medical clients told me, my definition is wrong. Viagra is actually an erectile dysfunction tablet that is clinically proven to blah, 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 all those things, right? But as far as Viagra's customers are concerned, it is not even a drug, right? It is a car. What car? Well, either a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. That is the idea that made Viagra strong, right? So in order for you to build a strong brand, your brand must stand for one simple, powerful idea in the minds of your customers. Not 2 ideas, not 5 ideas, not 10 ideas, one. Unfortunately for you, for all of us here actually, idea ownership is something that is mutually exclusive, meaning that once a competitor has claimed an idea, you cannot try to own the same idea. I will use cars here to illustrate what I mean because they are quite easy examples to understand. Mercedes-Benz is a strong brand because it owns an idea, and that idea is prestige. So BMW had to find its own idea, which is performance. Volvo had to find its own idea, which is safety. Toyota had to find its own idea, which is reliability. And Kia, affordability, Suzuki, small, so on and so forth. So idea ownership is mutually exclusive. Once an idea is taken by your competitor, you have to find a new idea to own. Now, if you look at Volvo, Volvo stands for safety. Can you make a safer car than Volvo? Yes, you can. Many manufacturers could claim that their cars are as safe and sometimes safer than Volvo. Way back in the year 2000, Renault was the first car manufacturer to score five-star safety ratings in the Euro NCAP crash test. All their cars, from the smallest one to the largest one, they were all 5-star cars. Back in those days, the safest car was the Volvo S. The safest Volvo was the S80, and that was only a 4-star car. So Renault could make a safer car than Volvo, but they couldn't own the idea of safety. When you want to buy a safe car, you will still buy a Volvo, right? If you want to buy a funny-looking French car with a big backside, you would buy a Renault. I mean, no offense to the folks at Renault, but that was what Renault used to make back in those days. Funny-looking cars, right? With big backsides. My neighbor used to have one. Now, in order to build a strong brand, to own that idea in the minds of your customers, you do branding. Again, different people have different definitions as to what branding is. I define branding simply as differentiation because it started in Egypt 4,000 years ago as a method of differentiating cows. They use this thing known as a hot branding iron to burn the mark into the back of the cow so that you can differentiate one owner's cows from another owner's cows. I know you may have a different definition as to what branding is. But as far as I'm concerned, if you tell me you want to undertake a branding project, all you are telling me is you are looking for a way, looking for a method to differentiate your cows from all your competitors' cows out there. So branding is all about differentiation. Now, there are some differences between B2B and B2C brands. When I first started in StrategyCom all those years ago, it was difficult to get B2B companies to undertake branding projects because the typical conversation would go like this. 3 minutes into the conversation with any B2B company's CEO way back 15, 16 years ago, the CEO would typically raise his hand and stop me and tell me something like this. Excuse me, Mr. Tai, we are not selling Coca-Cola. Why do we need branding? So in those days, many B2B CEOs tend to think that branding is something for consumer brands, not B2B brands. So today, of course, thankfully, most B2B companies, they understand the importance of branding to a certain extent, and they have learned quite a lot of things from their B2C cousins and applied those lessons to their companies as well. Now, I want to share with you some differences between B2B and B2C brands. Now, the first difference is actually risk. Buying a B2B product or service entails more risk. Why? Because a B2B product or service will tend to cost more. When it costs more, there's a lot of risk, right? So there's quite a lot of risk in buying anything that is B2B in nature. There are 5 different kinds of risk associated with a B2B purchase. The first one is the technical risk. Customers will be thinking, will the product work as it is designed to? If it doesn't work, then the buyer is in a lot of trouble. Can you imagine if you buy an accounting software for your company, or you buy an ERP system, or you buy an X-ray vision inspection equipment for your production line? If all these B2B purchases don't work, all these B2B products don't work, your company is in a lot of trouble, right? So there is technical risk. There is also financial risk. B2B buyers will ask, is the vendor financially strong enough to stay in business to serve me? This is a very valid concern. Many large companies that I serve, when they buy from a vendor, they usually look at the vendor's 5-year financial reports to make sure that the vendor is actually financially strong enough to maybe be a going concern for the next 3 to 5 years. So financial risk is the second one. The third one is delivery risk. Can the company make enough of the product in the time frame specified? Now, this is something that a lot of my clients have experienced before. I mean, those who buy from vendors, buy from other companies, right? Sometimes they're committed to a quantity of, let's say, 500 pieces, and the company could only deliver 350. So that affected the client's business. So delivery risk is the third risk. The fourth risk is service risk. Is the company able to provide the after sales and technical support that I need? And finally, the fifth risk is professional risk. Now, this is actually something you shouldn't take lightly. I found out from having dealt with hundreds of companies here in US, in Japan, in Germany and Switzerland, Malaysia as well, that professional risk is something that many B2B buyers take very seriously. They are basically looking to answer this question. Will buying this product enhance my reputation or damage it? So professional risk is something that they do take seriously as well, right? So there are 5 risks here. In order to mitigate this risk, this 5 risks, right? What do B2B buyers do? They tend to buy from the strongest brand within their price range. Now, there are 3 kinds of buyers that you can find out there. Number one is the kind of buyer the kind of customer who will buy from the most prestigious brands, regardless of price. Then there will be the kind of customers who will buy from the cheapest supplier, regardless of quality. They don't care. They just want everything cheap, right? Then the third kind of customer is most of us out there. We will buy from mid-range suppliers, right? So there are 3 classes of B2B buyers out there. Those who will buy from the most expensive ones, from the mid-range ones, and from the cheap ones, right? So regardless of which price range they fall into, there is risk. So in order to mitigate that risk, they tend to buy from the strongest brand within their price range. If your price range is mid-range and there are 15 vendors that can supply the products to you, how do you choose? I mean, they all fall within your price range. They all meet your technical specifications and all that. So how do you choose? You choose the one that is the strongest brand, because a strong brand serves as a kind of a guarantee against non-performance. When I was working in the States many years ago, right after I graduated, I heard from IT guys in the States, right? They told me this: always buy IBM because nobody ever gets fired for buying IBM. So then I looked at the IBM machine, I looked at the IBM enterprise servers and all these things. Then I started asking these IT guys, is the IBM server much better than the one from Texas Instruments or from Sun Microsystems or from one of the other vendors that we could have bought from? And the answer was always no. They say, not really. The IBM machine typically costs 40% more, but they are not really 40% better than their competitors. So then I started asking these IT guys, I say, well, why pay more for an IBM machine if it doesn't perform better? I mean, at most it's like 5-10% better. So why pay so much more? Because then those guys would tell me, because nobody gets fired for buying IBM, and your CFO will never ever question a purchase order that has the word IBM on it, right? Things like that. Then a few weeks later, I went back to these guys and I told them, I said, look, you guys are wrong. What if you spend so much money buying an IBM machine and then those machines break down? Those machines break down, you're going to lose your job. You'll never work in this industry again. They say, oh, no. You poor fool. They told me something like this. If an IBM machine breaks down, you just go upstairs and you tell the bosses upstairs, thank God we bought an IBM machine. If we had bought something else, the whole building might have burned down, the whole production line might have collapsed, things like that. So that is the power of a strong brand. Nobody gets fired for buying IBM. So that is, I don't know if this is still true today, but it was actually true back in the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s. Right? The other difference between a B2B and a B2C brand is actually time. Now, there is this thing known as the buying cycle. The time between each B2B purchase tends to be much longer than a B2C one. So because people don't buy B2B products very often, for example, construction equipment, once you have bought, if you're a construction company, once you have bought all the construction equipment that you need, you're not going to be buying any more construction equipment until at least 5, 6, 7 years later when those equipment needs to be replaced, or if you get new projects, right? So the buying cycle for a B2B product tends to be much longer. Now, also, it takes a lot longer for a B2B brand to get onto the approved vendors list. Sometimes 2 years, sometimes 3 years, sometimes never. So it takes a long time for you to become an approved vendor. So everything takes longer with a B2B brand. The buying cycle is longer. Getting approval is actually longer. The evaluation period is also much longer for a B2B brand. Now, when companies evaluate a B2B product or service, they usually take at least months, right? If you are buying a $2 million CRM system, it will take you at least 6 months to evaluate the vendors, the systems integrator, things like that. The branding impact also takes a lot longer to be felt, right? If you are selling a consumer product, you undertake a branding project, you become a much better perceived brand, you will see the impact on your top line and bottom line very soon. But for B2B brands, right, even if perception of the brand improves, sales doesn't immediately go up, market share doesn't immediately improve. It usually takes time because of the buying cycle, right? And also frequency. B2B buyers may not buy from you all the time in order to diversify their risk. For example, if you are buying a product or service, right, you will tend to buy from, if your volume is huge, you will tend to buy from 2 or 3 different suppliers, just in case one supplier fails, then you at least have 2 other suppliers that you buy from. I mean, Toyota actually pioneered this process. Toyota always buy a product, any product that Toyota buys, they always have at least 2 suppliers that are world-class, right? So in case one fails, the other one can step in. Now, the other difference between B2C and B2B brands is the buyer-seller relationship. In a B2C purchase, right, the purchase driver is actually emotional. In a B2B product, it's actually rational. In B2C, the relationship is impersonal, right? Because you don't really have a relationship with a company that sells you that B2C product. I mean, I buy a lot of Samsung products. I don't have a relationship with anyone from Samsung because I don't see them at all. Now, for a B2B brand, the relationship tends to be more personal. The marketing channels for B2C can be broader, more mass market. The marketing channels for B2C products, B2B products are more niche and more specialized. In B2C, you have one seller, many buyers. Just imagine Coca-Cola. One seller, tens of millions of buyers around the world, maybe hundreds of millions of buyers around the world. For B2B companies, one seller, few buyers, right? So this is the difference between the buyer-seller relationship. Okay, now, what are the key factors? Now, this is very important to you if you are running a B2B company. What are the key factors influencing a B2B purchase decision? These are the critical questions that B2B buyers will be looking to answer when they are evaluating their vendors. The first question is, what are the most important factors for B2B buyers during the vendor shortlisting process? The second question is, what are the most important factors that influence the B2B buyer's final selection from the shortlist? So in order to build a strong B2B brand, you need to understand the answers to these two questions. What are the critical factors during shortlisting? What are the critical factors during final selection? If you remember nothing else from my presentation, please at least remember this section. That's all I asked you to do. Now, way back in 2008, when I was still principal consultant of Strategycom, we actually conducted a study together with SBF, IE Singapore, Spring, to do a B2B study way back in 2008. Although this is a very old study, but I believe that the findings are still relevant for B2B companies today. Now, during this study, 300 international companies that buy products or services from Singapore brands participated in the study, right? So the results are very, very interesting. In the first part of the study, we asked these 300 purchasing managers, purchasing directors, the decision makers of these 300 international companies. What are the important factors that you look at during the shortlisting process? When you are looking to shortlist 3, 4, maybe 5 vendors, what are the factors that are important? So they name like 11 or 12 different factors. These are the top 4 factors that are the most important. The most important factor during shortlisting is track record. 82% of the 300 companies say track record is very, very important. How long the brand has been around, how recognized the brand is within the industry, how widely the brand is recommended by other companies. The second most important factor at 79% is domain knowledge. Can the company demonstrate in-depth industry knowledge? The company must be able to demonstrate in-depth product or service knowledge. And the vendor must be able to demonstrate that it has the ability to make the right recommendations to help customers. The third factor is brand reputation at 69%, recognized as an industry-led. Brand reputation means this. You are recognized as an industry leader. You are seen as committed to customers' needs. You are innovative. You are regarded as a reputable brand by the industry, including your competitors, and you are regarded as a specialist. Now, the fourth most important factor during the shortlisting process is financial strength at 63%. You must have healthy and stable financials. You must be seen as being honest, fair, and trustworthy in your dealings. Now, in order to be seen as honest, fair, and trustworthy in your dealings, there is actually one simple shortcut, which is you should apply to be a Brands for Good winner. And if you do, this is not a sales pitch. I mean, the Brands for Good evaluation process is actually quite a pain in the ass. Sorry, Glenn. Sorry, Alan, because I've had clients apply for Brands for Good last year, and they asked me to help them, and I did help them, to prepare all the submissions and all that. They are actually quite stringent. So, I mean, if you do get the Brands for Good award, you would probably be seen as honest, fair, and trustworthy in your dealings, right? Now, after the shortlisting comes the final selection, and these are the top 4 factors during the final selection process. The most important factor is service quality at 86%. Now, service quality means that the contact person is accessible, has a product or service knowledge, ability to recommend the right solutions, has industry knowledge, has good client rapport. Now, the second most important factor, very close behind at 82%, is price. When it comes to the final selection, price all of a sudden became very, very important. That means your pricing versus other competitors, whether you are value for money or not, fairness in business dealings, whether you can offer good discounts, whether you can offer good credit terms. The third most important factor is actually delivery standards, ability to stick to delivery schedules, all of these things. And brand reputation dropped to number 4. Actually, brand reputation becomes a lot less important in the final selection process, right? So this is actually a quick summary of the differences during shortlisting and during final selection. You see, during shortlisting, the important things are track record, domain knowledge, brand reputation, financial strength. Pricing doesn't matter. There's no price here in the top 4. You notice that, right? There's also no service quality in the top 4. But during the final selection process, you look at how the factors have changed. Service quality became the most important. Price became the second most important. Delivery standards, and then brand reputation. So knowing what you know now, how B2B companies, how companies shortlist their vendors, and how companies select the final vendor from the short list, right? What do you do then to build a strong brand, to position your brand better? So these are the steps to building a strong B2B brand, knowing what you know now. Step 1 is take care of all the hygiene factors. There are 7 hygiene factors for you to take care of based on the study that my firm carried out way back in 2008. So start small, build up a track record, improve your people's knowledge, build your brand reputation, improve your financial standing, try to minimize bad debts and things like this, improve your margins and reserves and a balance sheet, things like that, because these are hygiene factors that your customers would look at. Improve service quality, improve cost efficiency, improve the delivery. So these are the 7 basic hygiene factors that you need in order to be considered by a B2B customer, right? So take care of these factors. How you take care of these factors, I leave it to you. I'm not an expert in any of these things, except maybe number 3, building your brand reputation. The rest, I actually have no idea how to do. Now, step 2, you need to develop a clear and powerful brand position. This I know how to do. Now, this is Peter Drucker, the father of modern management. Peter Drucker actually wrote this in 1958. A business has only 2 basic functions, innovation and marketing. These are the things that produce results. Everything else is just cost. I agree with Drucker completely, because if you don't innovate, you become obsolete. If you're highly innovative, but you don't market yourself well, you also become uncompetitive. When Drucker was talking about innovation, he wasn't talking about R&D. He wasn't talking about invention. He was basically talking about finding new ways to do things cheaper, better, faster. Finding new ways to do things better, cheaper, faster. So you can actually apply innovation to every aspect within your organization, every function within your organization, including accounting, administration, logistics, procurement, production, all kinds of things. All the different functions within your organization can be subject to innovation improvements. So a business has only 2 basic functions, innovation and marketing. These things produce results. Everything else is just cost. So if a business is only about innovation and marketing, what is the purpose of the brand? What is the purpose of your brand position? Now, the brand position actually provides direction for your innovation and marketing initiatives. If you have a well-defined brand position, you will know what kind of innovation and marketing initiatives to undertake in order to get to where you want to go, right? So these are the 6 building blocks of a strong brand position statement. The first block is actually vision. Vision defines the future that you want to create. It is a short, sharp, sexy statement articulating the ambitious future, the bold and ambitious future that the brand wants to create for itself and for its stakeholders. So the first building block of a proper brand position is vision. The second building block is actually mission. Mission is a detailed statement articulating how the brand will achieve its vision using the 3 Ps: product, process, and people. The problem with 97% of companies that I see out there is this. The vision statement is too long, too boring, too forgettable. The mission statement sometimes is way too sexy, way too bold, you know. So, and they usually get these things wrong. They get the vision and mission statements wrong. And for many companies that I've seen, the vision looks like the mission looks like the vision. So you cannot have that. The vision statement needs to be short, sharp, and sexy. The mission statement needs to be long, detailed, boring, tedious, operational in nature, right? That's the difference between vision and mission. The third component is actually category. So the category basically defines the space that the brand competes in, and it also defines the space that you are trying to conquer. So the category is very, very important. The category also helps you to link the brand to an idea. So like Intel microprocessors, right? Red Bull energy drink, Osim massage chair. So brand, category, brand, idea. Brand values talks about the 3 most important values that the brand wants its people to embrace and practice in their daily work. The 5th component is actually the enemy. The enemy here is not your competitor. The enemy here defines the #1 problem the brand was created to solve. And this has to be something big and relevant to your customers. The last component is value proposition. The value proposition basically defines the #1 benefit that the brand brings to its customers. It may bring multiple benefits to customers, but the value proposition simply defines the biggest benefit. Okay, I'm going to share with you some examples of what I consider to be strong vision statements. Now, my examples could be a little bit biased because these were actually created by me recently for recent clients, right? In the last 2 to 3 years, I've been fortunate enough to serve many companies in the last 2 to 3 years in Unbroken Branding. I'm just going to share with you some of the vision statements that my clients are using right now. World Metal uses this vision statement: a world with 0 metallic waste. World Metal is actually a very, very innovative metal recycling company, and they are right now in the process of building a fantastic, super advanced plant somewhere in Tuas that uses plasma gasification. It is a technology that has never been used in terms of waste metal recycling, but World Metal is going to be the first one to use it. So when the factory opens in October or November this year, maybe you guys can ask them for a tour. So that factory is going to be fantastic. So their vision statement is a world with 0 metallic waste. Sanwa is a construction company. Its vision statement is how Asia designs and constructs buildings. I told the founder, Anthony Ong, that this is a very big vision statement. Are you sure you can do this well enough to deliver on this? He said, I don't know. He told me, he said, bro, to be honest with you, I don't know, but I would like to try. I would like to create this future whereby Sanwa becomes how Asia designs and constructs buildings. And they are actually trying. 3 years after the branding exercise has ended, they are trying very hard day in, day out to realize this vision. So I'm actually quite proud of them. Shinkozo, creating the best you naturally. So Shinkozo makes Japanese enzyme drinks. The Japanese enzyme they use is actually matured in Osaka over 1,000 days, right? And it's made from 300 different types of vegetables and fruits, and matured in Osaka for 1,000 days. So their vision is creating the best you naturally, because enzyme drinks are supposed to make you healthy, creating the best you, but in a natural way. Biocom, a world with 100% natural products. Now the folks at Biocom, Biocom is actually a formulation company. They formulate health supplements. They also manufacture health supplements for 300 brands from around the world. So the folks at Biocom, they are all formulation scientists, and they are people who really, really hate chemicals. They hate synthetic materials in health supplements and all of these things. So for them, their vision is very simple: a world with 100% natural products. It is not going to be easy to achieve this vision, but they would like to try, right? So very proud of them as well. XID Technologies, making your face the master key. What does this vision mean? XID Technologies is actually a facial recognition company, biometric facial recognition company. They are trying to work towards a world whereby your face actually becomes the master key to unlock everything, to unlock your house, your house door, your car doors, to start your car, to lock and unlock your bank accounts, for traveling, so your face becomes like your travel passport, all of these things. So it's a big vision, but they are trying to work towards creating a future whereby your face is the master key to open anything that you need. Right? OneCare, quality living for all seniors. OneCare is actually a Brands for Good winner for a number of years. So what they really want to do is provide quality living for all seniors, not just for seniors who can afford their services, but for all seniors. Watchwater is another Brands for Good winner. Their vision is a world with safe and secure water. A very tall vision. They want to create a world whereby all water is safe and secure, right? V-Stop, a virus-free world. Fizz, the world's favorite Asian potato chips. Now, Fizz makes Asian flavored potato chips, very unique Asian flavored potato chips like Hainanese chicken rice, beef rendang, Singapore laksa, things like this. So they make Asian flavored potato chips, and their vision is to become the world's favorite Asian potato chips. Tea Ideas, the champion of tea innovations. Cracker King, the Asian snack the world snacks on, right? Elston Technologies, zero carbon footprint engineering. They are not there yet, but this is a vision statement. They are working towards a future whereby they can provide 100% zero carbon footprint engineering. I know this is extremely difficult to do, but they are trying to do this, right? Now that you have looked at some examples of vision statements, I'm going to show you just one example of a mission statement. You look at how scary it is, right? A mission statement is very, very different because it needs to define the things that you do well every day in terms of product, process, and people. So you would typically say something like this: in order to help us realize our vision, we will focus on our mission, which is defined by these three things. Product. We will develop and sell powerful but non-addictive energy drinks made from natural herbs to help our customers, who are mainly people who work night shifts, to stay alert, because if they are not alert, they could make costly and sometimes deadly mistakes. You see how specific and how operational a mission statement has to be these days. I mean, in the past, we don't usually do things like this, but nowadays the mission statement has to be as specific as possible. In terms of process, we will implement the latest industry best practices in our daily operations, covering all aspects of R&D, testing, production, logistics, management information system, customer service, distribution, and quality control. We will then work with all our stakeholders to improve upon these industry best practices, because we want internal processes that are better than the best. So this is the process. And in terms of people, you don't have to use mission statements like this. I'm just sharing with you an example of what a mission statement could look like. In terms of people, we will find, attract, train, motivate, and retain people who believe in our vision, share our brand values, and are passionate about natural and safe energy drinks, blah, 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 all of these things. So your mission statement needs to be longer, needs to be more specific, needs to be actionable, needs to be operational. So that when people look at your mission, they will not confuse your mission statement with your vision statement. That's the difference. Vision is the future that you want to create. Mission is how you are going to create the future, right? Now, the third component is the category. The category basically is a clearly defined statement that provides people with an idea of the space that you operate in. A clearly defined and unique category is important as it helps to properly pigeonhole the brand in the minds of your customers. Now, this word is very important, pigeonhole. You basically need to create a pigeonhole in the minds of your customers, and then in that pigeonhole, there is only one brand, which is your brand. Now, if you look at some of the examples here, right, this is what I'm talking about. Colgate toothpaste, that's the category, right, which they own. Oral-B toothbrush, Listerine mouthwash, right? Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo, new format, food state health supplements. So these are all category statements. So if you are a competitor for Colgate, Colgate already owns the idea of toothpaste. It already occupies that pigeonhole mark toothpaste. So you have to create your own category. So for example, companies like competitors like Sensodyne will say, okay, Colgate equals toothpaste, but Sensodyne equals sensitive toothpaste. Then Darlie will come along and say Darlie equals, great tasting toothpaste. And then you have a Pearly White, whitening toothpaste. And then you have Kodomo Lion, which is children's toothpaste, so on and so forth, right? So the category statement is important. You need to make it as unique as possible so that when people think of the category, they think of you, they think of you, they think of the category. That makes the brand strong, right? Now, the next building component of the brand position is the brand values. Typically, we only define the three most important values, right? You can't have too many. If you have 4 or 5, it's very hard for your colleagues to actually practice all these values. So typically, we keep it to 3. Now, when you have identified a brand value, you need to explain to your colleagues, you need to explain to your stakeholders what that value means. This is an example. One of my clients, I won't mention names, they use these 3 brand values. Energetic. So energetic may mean different things to different people. So we need to define what energetic means. So energetic means this: we put 100% effort into our work because we believe it makes a positive, lasting difference to our customers and colleagues. So this is what energetic means as far as this brand is concerned. The second value was enthusiastic. Enthusiastic means we put 100% commitment into every task, big or small, interesting or mundane, because we really love what we do. So this is what enthusiastic means. We love what we do. That is why we put 100% commitment into every single job that we take on. Encyclopedic. So this is another value. Encyclopedic means we are 100% knowledgeable and up to date when it comes to the products we sell, because accurate information is critical to customers. Another example is this: think inside the box, right? So think inside the box means that we stick at what we know and we do what we are best at. We don't try to do things that we are not good at. Look outside the box. Look outside the box means this: we look to the outside world for products, processes, partners that complement our strengths and mitigate our weaknesses. And the third value is make a better box. Make a better box means this: we will ultimately strive to make a better box, meaning we create better products and solutions for the markets that we serve. So this client actually used this set of brand values, but they also explain what the brand values mean, right? Now, the next component of your brand position is this: enemy definition. Why is the enemy so important as part of your brand position statement? Enemies actually give your brand a reason to exist, because customers will think if you are not here to fight something or to fight someone, you have no reason to be around. Why are you here, right? So I have written 7 brand strategy books. One of them was called B2B, 10 Rules to Transform your business into a brand. So in this book, I talked about the 10 rules of branding that all strong brands are built on. Rule number 9, which is highlighted here, is this: make an enemy or two, right? So this make an enemy or two, this is one of the 10 rules of branding that all strong brands are built on. So enemy definition is an important part of your brand position statement. Now, let me share with you some examples of enemy definitions which my clients use. World Metal says this: the enemy is the negative impact of metal recycling. When they mentioned this to me, I almost fell off my chair. I asked the founders, I say, I thought metal recycling is actually a good thing. We recycle used metal, waste metal, which is actually a good thing for the environment. And they told me no. They say metal recycling actually does a lot of damage to the environment, a lot of damage, which most people do not know. But they have been trying to do this. They have been trying to fight this enemy, which is the negative impact of metal recycling by use. That is why they are building this fantastic new factory that uses plasma gasification to minimize the negative impact of metal recycling. You can Google what plasma gasification means. It's a fantastic technology that nobody has used in metal recycling before. EU Holidays, no space. They basically, because EU Holidays is a travel agency, they operate in Singapore, and Singapore is very small. People feel very stressed. Now people feel even more stressed because of COVID-19. They can't travel, they're stuck at home, things like that. So EU Holidays defined the enemy as no space, which is Singapore, which is basically what Singapore is, no space, right? Shinkozo defines the enemy as declining nutrient content, because they showed me plenty of research since the 1960s, right, that showed that in the last 50 or 60 years, the nutrient content that you get from vegetables and fruits, they have declined by as much as 32% compared to 50 years ago because of soil erosion, overuse and things like that. So Shinkozo is here to fight declining nutrient content, which makes the brand extremely relevant. Biocom, synthetic ingredients. XID, too many IDs, making life unsafe. That's why XID's vision statement is to make your face the master key, right? OneCare, OH. Now, this is an enemy. I told OneCare, OH is an enemy that you can never defeat. But the founders of OneCare told me, we don't care. We want to fight OH. This is the enemy. I said, okay, it's a great enemy to fight. It is relevant to your customers. Go ahead. Watch water, of course. The enemy has to be water pollution. V-stop, dangerous microbes. Seiko Wall, low performance building facades. Seiko Wall builds, they create and manufacture and install very high performance building facades and eco-friendly as well. T-Ideas, human cell damage. Fist, the same old potato chips. Elston, the broken promise. Right? So these are the enemies. Now, the last component of your value proposition statement is actually this. Value proposition. That's the last component of your brand position statement. Now, value proposition defines the number one benefit that you bring to your customers. Even if you bring 15 benefits to your customers, you cannot communicate all 15 benefits, because then it sounds too good to be true. If you sound too good to be true, then it is not true. So in order to solve that problem, you just communicate benefit number one, and that is the value proposition. If people believe in your value proposition, they will probably believe everything else that you are trying to tell them. So these are some examples of what I consider to be good value proposition statements. Evernote, remember everything. That is the value proposition, the number one benefit of using Evernote. They help you to remember passwords, PIN numbers, birthdays, appointments, where you hit that pot of gold, the exact location and the island where you buried all your treasures and all of these things, right? So they help you to remember everything. Fundly, raise money for anything. This is a crowdfunding platform, but their value proposition is you don't just need to use this platform to raise money for business. You can raise money for anything. For example, if you want to build an old folks home, You can put a project up there on Fundly. You know, there will be people who are willing to give you money to build that old folks home. That is why the value proposition is raise money for anything. MacBook, light years ahead. That's their value proposition. That laptop is light, and it is also light years ahead of their competitors. Right? Netflix, watch anywhere, cancel at any time. Their value proposition is actually in the second line here. Watch anywhere, cancel at any time. That was what attracted me to Netflix, actually, instead of the other streaming services. Dollar Shave Club, a great shave for a few bucks a month. So this is basically an American company. What they do is you join them as a member. You just basically pay $2 a month to be their member. And every month they will send you a set of nice new stainless steel shaving blades. Many of my American friends are actually members of the Dollar Shave Club. So I asked my friends, some of them are actually working here in Singapore. Most of them are still back in the States. I asked them, are these blades any good? They said, oh yeah, they are as good as anything that you can buy from Gillette or Schick or one of these other companies. So it's actually pretty good value, $2 a month, and every month you get new shaving blades. So I thought in the beginning that the Dollar Shave Club, right, probably wouldn't make any money, and they probably wouldn't be worth a lot. How wrong was I? A few years ago, Unilever acquired the Dollar Shave Club for, guess how much? US $1 billion. They were acquired by Unilever for $1 billion US, $2 a month, and the company was worth $1 billion US. Fantastic value proposition, right? As far as we are concerned. Tortuga, everything you need without packing a bag. Duolingo, learn a language for free forever. How they make money is when you learn the second language, then they start charging you. I think that's how they make their money. But the first language is free. MailChimp, send better email, sell more stuff. So that segment, talks to you about, discusses the 6 most important components of your brand position statement. Now, after you have created that fantastic sounding brand position, you need to make it come alive. Again, I can tell you from experience, 98% of brand position statements out there that you see. I meet about 200 companies every year for the last 14, 15 years. I've seen a lot of brand position statements. I've spoken to a lot of CEOs and all that. I can tell you 98% of brand position statements are completely useless, hopeless and useless. Not because they are not properly crafted, but because these companies did nothing to make the brand position come alive. Now, there is a simple trick for making your brand position come alive. This is the trick that I tell my clients nowadays. Every time you have a meeting and you discuss something new, every time you want to do something new, whether you want to spend $5 million to automate the factory, or you want to enter a new market, or you want to launch a new product, or you want to take on a new principal, or take on a new partner, or launch a digital marketing campaign, you need to ask yourself and you need to ask your colleagues these 6 simple questions. Will this new initiative, how is this new initiative going to help us realize our vision? How is this thing going to help us realize our vision? For example, you want to spend millions of dollars to automate your factory. You need to answer this question. How will the automation project help us to realize our vision? If you cannot answer this question convincingly, then the rest of your colleagues will not believe you as well. The rest of your customers will probably not believe you as well. You need to be able to answer this question in order to justify why you need to embark on this automation project or this digital marketing strategy campaign, all of these things. So how will this thing help us to realize our vision? In order to answer this question, you first have to remember what? Your vision statement. If you don't remember your vision statement, how are you going to answer this question, right? So the first question is, how is this thing going to help us realize our vision? Second question is this thing in line with our stated mission? Now, in order to answer this question, the first thing you need to do is you need to know what your mission statement is, right? Third question is, how is this thing going to help us dominate our category? So what is the category? What is the space that we are operating in? So this is the space that we are operating in. So if we do this, how will this help us dominate the category? All these questions are very awkward in the beginning. They are very difficult to think about and to answer in the beginning. For the first 2 to 3 months that you are doing this, you will find it very difficult, very unnatural, very awkward, but keep the process going. Keep it going. 2 to 3 months later, it will get easier. It will become second nature. And then you get into this habit of asking yourself, asking your colleagues, and eventually it cascades down to the entire company. Everybody starts asking these questions in all the new initiatives that the company wants to embark on, right? And they will answer them. Does this reflect our stated brand values? How is this helping us deliver the stated value proposition? How is this helping us to defeat the enemy? So all these questions, these 6 questions are simple to ask, but very difficult to answer, right? So you do need to get the ball rolling if you want your brand position to become something that is more than a pretty wallpaper. Most companies, they design nice wallpapers and posters, to showcase their brand position. But in 98% of these companies that I've seen, the brand position is dead, is useless, is hopeless, is of no use because they don't ask these 6 questions. Right? Step number 3 in building a strong B2B brand is differentiate your brand from your competitors. Now, I mentioned earlier, a brand is an idea that you own in the minds of your customers, but the mind of the customer is like a wall that is extremely hard to penetrate. To penetrate that wall, you are going to need a sharp nail. Branding is the nail. Branding is what you do to differentiate your brand. Now, to drive that nail into the wall, you are going to need a hammer. Marketing is the hammer. Marketing is what you do to communicate your differentiating idea. So the bulk of my work in the last 15 years has been the nail, has been finding a sharp nail, because any company, big or small, they will have a hammer. They will have a large enough hammer. The hammer refers to all your marketing activities, the PR campaigns that you run, digital strategy, SEO, road shows, advertising, promotions, EDMs, all of these things, they belong to the hammer. They are marketing activities that you do to communicate your differentiating idea. So you need these 2 things. You need a sharp nail, which is what you do to differentiate yourself, and you need a hammer, which is what you do to communicate your differentiating idea.
Jackie,
sorry?
10 more minutes.
Oh, 10 more minutes, okay. So being different is easy, but the tricky part is being different with a smart idea that is relevant to your customers and defensible against the competition. This one I will not touch too much on, because if you're interested, you can maybe go to Amazon and see if you can still find this book, Killer Differentiators, that talks about the 13 strategies that you can use to differentiate your brand. If you are not differentiated, not a problem. You just have to sell cheap. If there are 2 ways to grow the business. You are either differentiated. If you are not, then you have to sell cheap. If you are not differentiated, you can't sell cheap. Eventually, the brand will die. Now, selling cheap is a viable option, but you do need to have a structural cost advantage if you want to sell cheap and still make money. A structural cost advantage is something like this, like Dell. Dell has a direct to customers sales model. They sell PCs direct, so no middleman, so they can sell cheap, they can still make money. That is a structural cost advantage. Southwest flies only the 737. They have 612 737s, Boeing 737, so they only fly 1 airplane, so that's their structural cost advantage. Toyota has a just-in-time production system. That's their structural cost advantage. IKEA's structural cost advantage is flat pack furniture. Wix is AI-driven website design. So Wix can sell you website designs for very, very cheap because it's AI-driven, it's template-based. So that's their structural cost advantage. Like what I said earlier, You need to be differentiated or you need to be cheap. If you are not differentiated and you are unable to sell cheap because you don't have a structural cost advantage, eventually the brand will die, guaranteed. Now, how do you market a B2B brand? Very quickly, you have a limited budget, so you can't take a shotgun approach when it comes to marketing your brand. You need to take a rifle approach, pick your targets and your battlefields carefully. How do you do this? One of the easiest ways to market your brand is to sell to existing clients. It is 6 times cheaper to sell a new product to an existing client than to find a new client, right? Because they are already buying A from you. If you have product B that they need, that is somewhat related, and your quality and pricing and specifications are as good as your competitors, try your existing clients first, right? Now, what you can do here is you can cross-sell new products or services to existing clients, but make sure that the item is competitive enough, right? Form strategic alliances so that you can cross-sell to your partners' clients who already know and trust your partners, and vice versa. So you can cross-sell to existing clients, you can cross-sell to your partners' clients, right? So you need to form strategic alliances. And the third thing, actively seek referrals from existing clients. Because if those clients already know you and they trust you, and they also know other businesses that can use your products or services, ask them for referrals. Don't be shy. Most Singapore companies are very shy about asking for referrals. They're very paiseh. Don't be paiseh. Ask for referrals, right? Your clients are overloaded. You need to remember the second thing is all your clients are busier now than they were 5 years ago, because all the things that they used to do 5 years ago, they are still doing now. But at the same time, they have new things to do. You just look at your own to-do list. 5 years ago, your to-do list may be 1.5 pages long. Today, your to-do list could be 6-7 pages long, right? So because of that, most of us will use shortcuts when it comes to making purchase decisions. So you find out what decision-making shortcuts your clients are using and position yourself there. So some of the things that you can do is ask your clients if there is a particular authority, website, forum, person or persons, information source that they rely on to help them make purchase decisions. For example, if the majority of your clients rely on a particular website, then you know this is where you have to advertise or get publicity for your brand, because your potential clients are also using this website, right? The third thing you need to remember when marketing a B2B brand is everybody is online now. So you have to make sure that you are discoverable online. This I don't have to tell you because I think all of you here know these things, right? But some key things you need to remember is make sure you have a website that is modern looking and user friendly, which is something many B2B brands ignore. You have no idea how many B2B brands out there, their website still looks like it was designed in 1984. It's that terrible, right? Make sure your website gets the 10 key things about your brand, such as a brand position, brand differentiator, etc., across quickly. Your website needs to communicate the 10 most important things about your brand, but get it across quickly. Make sure it's a search engine optimized and all of those things. The fourth thing about marketing your B2B brand is admit your weaknesses. Every company has a weakness or two. Admitting your weaknesses to your customers is good because they are going to find out your weaknesses anyway. Now, when you admit your weaknesses, they are more likely to believe you when you talk about your strengths. If all you talk about is your strengths, then they are not likely to believe you because it sounds like a sales pitch, right? So praise the competition. The fifth thing you need to remember is praise the competition, because why do you praise the competition and not criticize them? Every key competitor has a core strength. Admit to your customers that this competitor is strong in this area, but do it in such a way that the strength becomes a liability. This is something that in the last 3 years, I've been doing a lot of for my clients. When we do competitor analysis, we will tell the client, competitor A is actually very strong in this area. So how do we neutralize their strength? We praise them, right? Now, let me just give you an example. You are selling factory automation software. Client asks you about a competitor and you tell the client, oh yes, they are good. In fact, they are very, very good. They are the market leader in automation software for food manufacturers. And make sure all of these things are true, right? Don't lie about them. The client might then think, that's true and that's good, but then again, I'm an electronics manufacturing services company. So maybe I shouldn't be buying factory automation software from this other guy because they are the market leader in automation software for food manufacturers. For all you know, automation software is automation software with 150 clicks, of the keyboard. You can make automation software for food manufacturers, work for EMS companies, and so on and so forth. But it's the perception that counts, right? Learn from your mistakes. Don't make the same mistake twice. Just like Eleanor Roosevelt said, learn from the mistakes of others. You can't live long enough to make them all yourself. So you need to learn from the mistakes that you have made. You also need to look at mistakes that other people have made and try to avoid them, because most of us are not big enough to survive costly mistakes. I mean, if you are a $40-50 billion company, you can afford to make 4 or 5 humongous mistakes, you may still survive. If you are an SME, less than $100 million in revenue, you make 4 or 5 humongous mistakes, I think you can close shop. Right? Okay. A little bit about me, not too much. My name is Jackie, founder and principal consultant of Unbroken Branding. I have also written 7 brand strategy books. These are just some of the books that I have written since 2007. The latest one that was just published recently by Amazon and sold exclusively on Amazon.com is this book I call Branding Landmines, Even the Best Brands Step On Sometimes. It talks about mistakes, branding mistakes that companies tend to make. Even big successful companies, they have made these mistakes, forgot about them, and then make the same mistakes again a few years later, right? This book has taken me 7 years to write because it is by far the most difficult book I have ever written, because I had to talk about mistakes. Not just mistakes that other companies have made, mistakes that some of my clients have made, mistakes that I myself have made in the last 20 years, and marketing branding mistakes that I had made in the last 20 years, right? So that's why the book has taken 7 years to write. It's that difficult. I'm glad that it finally got done. Okay. That is all the time that we have today. I thank you all so much for spending your afternoon with me. As Glenn mentioned to you earlier, this set of slides or playbook, as Glenn calls it, will be sent to you. With the QR code or something like that. Okay, thank you all very much, Glenn. I hand the floor back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Yay! Please, everybody, some applause for Jackie. I think we've got some time for Q&A. I mean, we've wanted to leave some open-ended questions and time for any questions. So for those of you who, I'm sure we all learned a thing or two in today's webinar. Maybe I would like to start first by asking does anyone have any questions that they may have for Jackie for today? If you do, you just have to unmute yourself. Anyone?
Hi, Jackie. This is Sunny. I have a question for you.
All right.
Hi, Sunny.
Yes, thanks for the talk, and very impressive and very comprehensive.
Thank you.
So how long is your entire consultation process? Because branding is, to me, is a journey.
Okay, the strategy. Okay, when it comes to building the brand, right, there are 2 parts. Typically, the strategy and the execution. The strategy part is where I come in. The execution part is where you and your team comes in. So the strategy part typically takes 1 to 2 months to develop, depending on how many violent objections I get from the client on the things that I propose. Some clients are very easygoing. They'll say, okay, I like this, let's go with this. Some clients will have a lot of questions and a lot of objections to my proposal, so it will take a little bit longer, but usually it's about 1 to 2 months. Glenn and I have worked on a few branding projects together. It's usually about 1 to 2 months, right, Glenn?
Yep, it's a very interesting journey working with Jackie. Yes, some are difficult because, as Jackie said, a lot of things. Branding is a trade-off. You pick a position, and when you pick a position, it's sort of kind of hard, right? And you don't want to change your course just because certain things happen. But so it's very difficult for certain businesses and business owners to want to stick to a certain position. And you can hear from Jackie, a lot of things are trade-offs: categories, your positions, who you want to fight against. Are those things that you have certain clarity on?
And can I ask the next question?
Yes, please go ahead.
You mentioned you are all the while looking for a nail, you are driving the nail, but you need a hammer. So how these two work together? And if let's say I engage your service as the nail seeker.
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, most businesses, right? In fact, I would dare to say all businesses, right from day one, they will look for the biggest hammer they can find, right? They look at how much money they have and how big a hammer they can buy in terms of advertisements, in terms of promotions, in terms of social media marketing, in terms of digital marketing, things like that. So the relationship between these two is you can continue to take care of your hammer because you have been doing this for the longest time, right? You would have put in place marketing initiatives over the years that you have been operational. So my job is to come in to help you find a sharper hammer. So what you are doing right now is when you go out and you market yourself, you are actually communicating the brand. What I want to do, what I do typically is to make sure that the communications become a lot stronger because the brand position is a lot clearer, a lot more exciting, a lot more relevant, and the differentiating idea is also clearly defined and clearly articulated. Somebody asked me a question. On vision statement versus tagline, right? Are they different? The answer is yes. The vision statement is basically used to communicate the future that you want to build, the future that you want to create. But the tagline is used to communicate your differentiating idea. What makes you different from your competitors? First, you need to know how your competitors can be differentiated using the 13 strategies of differentiation from Killer Differentiators. Then you need to figure out how you can differentiate your brand versus your top 10 competitors. Typically, I look at just top 10 competitors because beyond 10 it gets extremely confusing for me, for you, for everyone. So we typically just look at the top 10 competitors. Now, you need to figure out how your competitors can be differentiated. When I look at your competitors, I basically try to find a way to differentiate your competitors. I will tell you if competitor A is smart, this is what they will do tomorrow to differentiate themselves. Of course, I will not tell your competitors and neither will you, right? And then once we are done with the exercise, then I will share with you how you can differentiate your brand vis-a-vis your top 10 competitors. Once we have figured out the differentiating idea, then we create funky, powerful, short, unique tagline to communicate your differentiating idea, right? For example, one of the taglines that I remembered last time from an old client was they make power cables. They make industrial power cables. The brand is Licavo. They make industrial power cables, right? Pretty boring stuff. High quality, tier 1 power cables, but pretty boring stuff. So what differentiated them is actually they are the cheapest. They are not cheap. They are actually tier 1 power cables, so very expensive. As expensive as those from Prysmian from Italy, Draca Cable Tech from US, Elkin from Canada. But among the tier 1 power cable brands, they are the cheapest. So the tagline we use is simply this: our cables are simply longer. So the board of directors asked me, hey, when we cut 1 meter of cable, it's 1 meter. Where got longer? Where got shorter? Huh? What nonsense is this? So I told them, I said, look, this is just a dramatic way of saying your cables are cheap, right? Because $1 of the customer's money will buy more cables from you than from any of your competitors. So it's just a dramatic and sexy way of saying our cables are cheaper. So we use a tagline, our cables are simply longer. So that's just to share with you the difference between a vision and a tagline. So my job is actually, if we work together, is actually to help you find a sharper nail, more highly differentiated brand, so that when you go out and market, hopefully it becomes more effective.
Right. Thank you, Jackie. Any one last question? Sunny, no. I hope to have another voice. Is there anyone else who have a burning question that you may have?
Any question or violent objections, well, feel free to voice them.
Okay.
Or
If
maybe I will see you, Jackie.
yes, we can arrange.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Glenn,
Sunny.
you can arrange. Or we can arrange. Thanks.
Okay, if there's no questions, I like to take this chance to actually do a photo shoot. If everyone we get a chance, perhaps this is the best time for you to sort of turn on your camera, and so that we can sort of take a photo for the event and everyone. Furious, are you there?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna take a few shots because the screen needs to be panned, so I can get everyone to frame yourself. Make sure your whole head is in the camera. And then of course, let's do a thumbs up, 2 hands if you can, for the photo.
Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3. Next page. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Last page. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much.
Right. Okay. So thank you, everyone. What's gonna happen now is we're gonna put up the QR code for you to download the deck from Jackie. So can I get everyone? You can now scan the QR code, and then use this QR code if you want a copy of the deck that Jackie has just shared. Please use your phone, scan the QR code. There's an online form. You just have to quickly fill it up. Just ask for 3 or 4 information. It's the same as your registration details. And then from there, you get an automated email, as well as on the website itself, the thank you page, you get a link to download the deck as well.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my contact details are on the last slide of the deck. I mean, if you have